everybody, it's Keren here from tuppencecolored.co.uk, and thank you very much for joining me today. This is the card that I've been making today. The interesting bit is on the inside. If I open it up, my teapot rotates and is ready to pour a cup of tea. The inspiration for this card and how I learned to make the mechanism came from a channel called the Pop-Up channel, which belongs to a gentleman named Duncan Birmingham. And if you are at all interested in pop-up cards, I recommend that you hop on over there and have a look at the very many different kinds of pop-up mechanisms that Duncan shows you how to do. Took me 5 or 6 goes really to get this working the way I wanted it to. So today I am really going to focus on the mechanism, so not so much on the embellishment, because I think you can work that one out for yourself. Stay with me, I'll show you how I made the card. I want to concentrate on showing you how the turning mechanism works. So I've done a lot of the things that you would normally do when you're making a card. I've gone ahead and done those off screen. Just try and keep this video to a watchable length. So just let me explain that this is my card base. It's Mango Melody. It's 11 inches by 5.5, scored and folded at 5.5 inches. And I've cut 2 squares of the grey granite DSP. They are 5.25 inches square. And I've cut this one in half, and that was a 2 5/8 of an inch. And I cut a square of the grey granite card, also at 5.25 inches, and again cut that in half at 2 5/8. And I've just stuck those onto my card base to be ready to be added to have the mechanism. So I have now a piece of grey granite card, and it's 1.25 inches. That dimension doesn't matter so much, but this one does. It's 1.25 inches by 5 inches, and I'm going to start by scoring it at the 1/2 inch mark, then at 2 inches, and then at 4.5 inches. I've burnished the folds, and I'm just going to trim away just a little bit on the ends of these 2 pieces at the end, just to reduce the bulk a little bit. And now I'm going to tuck the flaps under, and I'm going to line up that fold line with the fold line in my card, and with my pencil, which I've just got out, I'm going to mark where that piece ends and where that piece ends. Alright, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that piece and I am going to turn it around, and I'm going to come down about 1/4 inch, and I'm just going to fold that corner up. And I'm just doing it, not using a scoring tool or anything, I'm just using the pressure of my thumbs. And I want to keep that quite straight. So. Okay, and if I bring in my little slip of paper to show you, I now have something that looks a bit like that. Just going to cut in here and explain a little bit about this fold here. This is what is going to control the direction and the amount of movement of your moving piece. All right. This angle here at the top, this is what is going to control how far the piece that's stuck on is going to move. If it's quite a shallow angle, quite an acute angle like this one, it'll give it a small amount of rotation. If I was to fold it kind of, right, let's make a big angle here. If I was to make it a right angle like that, Okay, it would fold more. And if I was to make it a super wide angle, like that, then you will get a lot of rotation. Okay, so this is something that you want to experiment with on a piece of scrap before you start putting your card together. Okay, back to the video. So I'm going to take my liquid adhesive and I'm going to pop some on to either of these flaps. Flip that bit inside. Actually, I don't need to do that just yet. And I'm just going to line my folded up piece with the pencil marks that I made earlier on. Alright, I'm going to give that a couple of seconds for the adhesive to dry. And while that is happening, I have another square of grey granite, which is 1.25 inches on a side. Because it's a square, the 4 sides are the same. That's kind of fairly basic mathematics. And as you can see, I've got my crisscross folds there, and I'm just going to snip away one corner of the square. So now I've got something that looks like an upside down L shape. So now I'm going to put a little spot of adhesive just on this piece here, and I'm going to glue my L-shaped piece so that this edge lines up with the fold down the center and this corner lines up with the point of the folded triangle. Okay, and I'm going to let that dry for a few minutes. While I'm waiting for the glue to dry, I've got one more pop-up element that I'll put in place so that it's ready for when I need it. This is just a little strip of, now I thought it was grey granite, but now I've got it under a daylight bulb, I can see that it's smoky slate, but it doesn't matter because it's largely going to be covered up anyway. So it's about 3/4 inch by 2.5 inches, and I've scored it and folded it every 1/2 inch, and then I overlapped the two ends and stuck them down so that I've got a little hollow box. And I'm going to put adhesive onto 2 sides, and I'm going to position this a little way up from the base of my card, and I'm going to position it across the fold. Hello, Misty. The cat's just come to join me. Don't know whether she's going to make an appearance. She might. Okay. So while that one's drying, I'm going to let that one dry as well. I've done a bit of preparation ahead of time, and I have stamped and die cut out my teapot and my teacup. I've used Mango Melody card, and I have used grey granite ink, and I've coloured in the flowers with my Stampin' Up markers, and I used Mango Melody, grey granite, and a little bit of mint macaron for the leaves. And I've got another video out there showing you how I coloured in my my crockery. So if you want to see that, you can go and look for it. It will be in my videos. Now the next bit is where you might want to do a little bit of practice. So you might want to try this out on a bit of old card that doesn't really matter a few times until you get it the way you want it. It took me about 5 or 6 goes before I got this working the way that I wanted to. All right, so so that I've got some instant grab, I've put 3 glue dots on my little L-shaped piece here, and I'm also going to put in some liquid adhesive to give me a little bit of wiggle room. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to almost close up my card, but not quite, and I'm going to place the teapot so that it doesn't stick out the edge of the card, and I'm just going to press that down, and I'm going to hope, right, because that is what I wanted to do. The card is opened and closed. This piece that the teapot is attached to, and the spout is getting a little bit bruised. It's got a tendency to fall forward and then it catches on the card, and I don't want that to happen. So to control that, I have cut a little L-shaped piece of card, and I'm going to fit that over the top of the mechanism just there. Okay, and I'm going to stick it down to this side of the piece that's making all the action happen. So I'm going to use a little bit of liquid adhesive on just the one arm of my little bit of card, and I hope you can see what I'm doing. Just going to turn that up there and stick that into place, and it's going between the piece that the teapot is stuck to and the folded piece, for want of a better word, right? And that just controls the action just a little bit and just stops it flopping forward. So as with all of this, I'm just going to leave it for the adhesive to set. Probably going to leave it overnight, come back to it tomorrow, and we'll do some embellishments. Since that last bit of filming, I've been doing a little bit of embellishing on my card. I've been busy with the doily builder dies and a pile of Whisper White, and I've cut out a lot of doily embellishments, and including this kind of edging, like a lace edging, which is very pretty. And I'm just going to match this piece here, lift up the teapot. I could trim that, but do you know what, I don't think I will. I think I'm just going to continue it across the edge of the teapot, just going to make sure that it bends when my card closes. As you can see, I've already done this piece, so I've cut 3 of these strips altogether. So I'm going to go work on the front of the card just for a few seconds, and I've stamped Celebrate Your Day, which is from Hello Cupcake, which is one of the celebration sets this year, onto a strip of vellum, which is, how big is this strip of vellum? Why does my ruler always hide when I want it? Here it is. So yeah, that's just over an inch. I kind of eyeballed it a little bit, and it's 3.5 inches long. I stamped it and I heat embossed it, because whenever you're using vellum, it's always better to either use a solvent based ink, or to heat emboss it, because vellum is not very absorbent, and ink will take a very, very long time to dry on it, and you'll think it's dry and you put your thumb in it and you'll smear it. So if you want a coloured ink, sometimes you're better to just heat emboss over the top, and it's so unabsorbent that you can go straight on top of a dye based ink. So actually I stamped that first of all in grey granite, and it was too pale, so I went over the top with the gold and silver mix that I made by accident one time. Alright, so as I'm talking, I'm trying to decide what I want to do with this, and I think I want to take this die. Now this is the outer edge of the doily, right, because the doily die, you get the other part of it, comes in 2 parts. So if I if I cut this part, it will just leave me all the lacy bits, but it won't cut it away from the card or paper. I need the edge piece as well. And what I thought I would do is that I would position this onto my vellum, and I'm going to go like that and die cut it out so it's got a fancy edge. So yeah, I think I'm going to go and give that a try. I'll be back in a second. It now has a fancy edge, and I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive along this edge of the vellum. And yes, it is going to show, but it doesn't matter because we are going to cover it up in just a minute. So I'm just going to line that up. If it goes a little bit beyond, that's quite a pretty look as well. So here are some more of the flowers from the Tea Together set, and I did start die cutting them out with the tea time framelets. Whoops, didn't want to do that. Okay, doesn't matter. I have another one, but the die doesn't get quite near enough to the edge of the flower for me, so you could fussy cut these out if you're careful. Don't chop off leaves randomly, as I just did, and that makes them slightly more delicate. Alright. So yes, the dies are great, but you could fussy cut this set because the shapes are not too tricky as long as you're careful. Alright, so I'm going to arrange my little bouquet. So I've got one of the big type flower and a couple of smaller ones. And some buds. Ooh, what's happened there? Oh, that's turned around. Right, so I'm just going to go ahead and arrange these the way that I want them to be, and I'll see you in a few minutes. And that is my finished card, and I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I've really enjoyed having your company and would love it if you came back and saw me again sometime too. And if you've liked this card, then please do click that like button. If you didn't like it, then click the thumbs down button, but let me know what I can do better next time, because I really want to learn. But for now, thank you very much for joining me, and I'd love it if you came back and saw me again sometime soon. But for now, bye bye.